throat! Drop!
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Crazy mother.
Hello and welcome to the Vapor Chronicles. Today I am so proud to announce the launch of the Drop Solo. The Drop Solo is the 22mm single coil rendition of my Drop RDA that launched last November. Some of you are here because you're subscribers, so welcome. I'd also like to welcome all the new people that are here because they're interested in seeing the Drop Solo, or maybe you purchased the Drop Solo and you're trying to figure out how to optimize it to give you what you hope that it can deliver. My goal in this video is to sort of take you on a journey of the process of development, show it to you up close, give you some recommendations for different builds you can try in there, show you the different airflow controls, let you know my thoughts behind the decisions that I made, and tie it up into a nice bow and send you on your way, and hopefully you'll get as much enjoyment out of the Drop Solo as I did in designing it and helping see it get to this point. I will say that I'd be lying if I wasn't under a lot of pressure. When I designed the Drop RDA, I put my heart and soul into it, and you guys responded with huge amounts of love and happiness, and your feedback was tremendous. Reviews on every of the major stores, like my Vapor Store, Element Vape, Vapor DNA. The Drop is the highest rated RDA that they have on the stores. The sales numbers have been through the roof. It's still selling 9 months later, and that's only because of you, the people who bought it, the people who love it, and I really appreciate it. That was my intent when I designed it, and that was my intent with the Drop Solo. But because of the success, it adds a lot of pressure. I'm not normally a single coil vapor. That's not what I do. I tried to design something that was inspired by the original Drop, that offered tremendous flexibility, lots of airflow adjustment, lots of build space for different builds, and also accessories to add value for the price point that we're going to be selling the Drop Solo at. This has been a long endeavor. I get joy out of showing you what goes into developing an RDA. So instead of all this jibber jabber, let's dive down, take a closer look at the Drop Solo, and let me break it down for you. Let's do it.
Let's dive in and break it down.
Hold up. Let's head back a little bit to last winter when I was working on the first designs for the Drop Solo. Back then, I had an idea, and I thought it was going to be easy. I thought it would be out within 3 months, and it didn't turn out to be that way. The first idea was this, and a lot of people said, why did you do the build deck the way you did? Well, I didn't. It didn't start off that way. It started off this way. And this way, 2 posts, split. Now the problem with this is that you lose so much build space, and it's hard to maneuver different builds in here. And also you have to have your coil legs facing one direction. If you have a leg that goes here and goes here, then you have to twist your build. It messes everything up, and it sort of twists everything. Designing it the way that I did allowed you to place it straight in, and also to be able to fit a lot more vertical builds and make it much easier. But this was the first design. I tried it, I tested it, I vaped on it, and I decided against it. This is where the power comes from, your negative and your positive, and they are basically, to get these out of the way is probably the most important thing you can do. Unless the airflow system is built around the posts, they serve one purpose. So everyone that wants, always a new innovative post design, it's a lot harder than it seems. In your mind, the designs you might come up with, and I know a lot of vapors out there are really creative, in the real world, things are so much harder than you think they are, and it takes a lot more time and adjustment, and some things just never pan out. I probably have 10 different designs that make sense on paper, but they really just don't make sense when you end up using them. I believe that simplicity, ease of building, but complicated enough for the advanced user to get some satisfaction from it, is the focus. So this one, no. But airflow is the thing that we control. Airflow is the thing that affects all kinds of things, from temperature to flavor. And I spent probably too much time with airflow. So this was one of the first prototypes for the drop solo. And as you can see, it's pretty plain Jane. The notches were in there, but everything was sort of, the way that it is. Now it looks similar, but if you hold the new version up to this, that's when you can start to see the things that we changed. Now, it might not seem like a lot, but anytime you adjust the height of something and you start to change it, it changes the post size, the post height, the way the air comes in, the way the air comes in for different build positions. You know those RDAs where like one position, everything works great, but as soon as you adjust the airflow or as soon as you put a different size build in or style build, everything goes to shit. Well, I test for that. I test every type of build. I test everything to make sure that it works well. And I want it to be good enough for everything and maybe great at a few things. And that's the goal. So this was the original one. Soon after that, I started playing around with the drop logo. Some people liked the laser drop on the original, but I said I wanted to go with something that was engraved into the metal. So we started playing with keeping the styling from the original drop, and we put it here. And that was where we kept it for a while. You'll also notice that I started playing around with different airflow sizes on the actual front of the RDA. Notice how these are tighter and the top ones are open more. That was one of the airflows that I was messing with. Not only did I mess with that, but I also went with different sizes. Like these are much smaller. These are a little bit bigger. And I must have had 10 different caps and 3 different revisions. I was driving DIGIFLAVOR absolutely crazy, I'm sure. Then we started messing with the Ultim and the PMMA. And one of the things was with the Ultim is extremely strong. Look at this. I mean, I'm putting a lot of pressure here. It's extremely strong. It's very flexible, but the color is really not the greatest for everyone. I think it's awesome with gold. It's awesome with certain squonk mods and stuff like that, but it's not good for everyone. This cap was all one piece. Okay, so not only did I do this cap, but I also did this. This is one of the original solos. This is actually one of the shortest ones. I really wanted to offer a dropped cap that was low profile and small and dainty. The problem was there was just issues, and trust me, I tested it. I tried to make it as short as possible. One thing that I always noticed with all these caps was usually you would take this and you would spin it on the device to adjust the airflow. And I'm a stickler for precise airflow control. It doesn't whistle. And this was all one piece. And the one piece simplified cost. It lowered the cost. It simplified everything. But I wanted 2 things. I wanted airflow control and I wanted removable 810 drip tip on this. And we started going to the drawing board. And that originally made it much higher. So I tried 6 holes on the accessory cap. And this was one of the first ones, and I also said that I wanted to have the logo in the actual material. And the problem was I couldn't get a grip on this. I couldn't get a grip on this, and I couldn't get a grip on the stainless steel version. So we started working on designs for making the top pretty. Okay, that's one thing that the original drop, we kind of ran out of time at the end, and we had more time this time, so we did it. I wanted different colors too. Okay, so I had all these different ones, all different sizes. They were all marked, but it wore off. It was like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. And I had all these different ones, and I'm testing them, and I'm trying different engravings. I wanted black with black, the orangish pea color with the gold, and I wanted the sort of frosted with the silver. And they said, well, that can't be done. And I said, well, why can't that be done? They said, because it's really, really fragile. Like the PMMA cracks very easily. So we had already designed at that time the thickness of the cap. You can see here the thickness here of this part. So to change this would change this because they both have to fit on the same build deck, all right? So these were matched up. So if I wanted to go with PMMA, the PMMA had to be thicker, which meant the build deck had to change. The thickness here had to change. Everything has to be revised. And, I said, let's do it. So they went back to work, and you can see here how much thicker this had to become. Look at the difference. Much, much thicker. Now the good news is that the thicker piece, this actually feels more substantial and more high quality in the hands, but that was that. This is actually an early version also. All right. So after all that testing, after nailing the airflow control, getting everything sort of dialed in, let's take you to the present day, because I'm sure you're tired of all this, and let me show you the Drop Solo final version. All right, so here is the outside of the box. A couple things. The original 30,000 of these are going to have a little sticker at the bottom that says designed by the Vapor Chronicles. For some reason they didn't have it on here, so it will be on there after 30,000. So just realize if there's a sticker on yours, it is legitimate. Also, one of the first things that you might notice when you get it, if these are torn when you buy this, they usually get compressed when they're being shipped and then they'll tear. So if yours are torn, it doesn't mean it was opened or it was used or it's a clone. These do have authenticity checkers on there, so it should be legitimate. All right. So this is the outside. I did design this new revised Drop logo. The original Drop logo looked like this, and I said we can freshen that up a little bit. So I sat down on my program and I redesigned it, and I think this just looks much cooler, and it just, you know, it's more modern, so I dig it. All right, so what comes in your box? In your box, you're gonna get your Drop Solo RDA. This is the stainless steel version, and it comes in the black, and I'll show you all the other colors. And you also get your PMMA section that is a little bit lower. You also get your beauty ring, which is included. Okay, so this is a 24mm beauty ring that comes with the kit, and you get your drip tip that nobody likes but me, but I'm going to include it because it's my favorite and I don't care. It's a guilty pleasure and I include it. This is awesome for flavor. I think this is such a good drip tip for flavor. I also like it for, like, if you have a spitty build or you want to distance yourself from the RDA. It's definitely not for looks. It's like those comfy sneakers or sweatpants or shorts that you love. That's what this is. And if you don't like it, well, I'm sure you have other drip tips lying around. So there you go. There's this section. And I'll show you that in detail. You also get the Drop Solo. So what we did is we have Drop, and on the other side it says Solo. Beautiful. On the bottom, Drop Solo, DIGIFLAVOR, serial number, and then designed by the Vapor Chronicles, which is me. Actually, the Vapor Chronicles is not a person, it's a place. This is the place of the Vapor Chronicles. My name is Brian. Anyway, removable negative post screw, and you also have your positive 510 pin. Now this might look tall, and compared to certain RDAs, it definitely is. And comparing it to the original Drop, it is shorter. And with the shortened PMMA section, it's also much shorter. If you look close at the regular 10-hole stainless cap, you'll notice that the airflow holes are a little bit different. Take a look. You have 6 holes at the bottom and they all go straight in. Everything's been designed width-wise, the hole size-wise, and I really fought with myself about leaving the top row or getting rid of it. I could have lowered the height a tiny bit by getting rid of the top row. With the PMMA section, I was able to offer the 6 holes with the lower profile, and why not offer the most flexibility with this cap? I had to, instead of wasting this airflow from the top row, if you have a really hot build, I angled the top row downward. So you'll notice when I put this tool in here, it goes at an angle. And the way it comes in is also at an angle. And this is just for the top row. If I put it in from the middle row or any of the other holes, it goes straight in. See? Straight in, and then the top one I have to tilt it for it to go in. So what that does is it forces the top row to go down toward the coils, so you don't have to build so high that it spits back in your mouth. That was the way I decided that. But, you know, my personal preference is 6 holes and 4 holes on this cap. Sometimes I even go down to 2, depending on what I like. But you have the same, you know, adjustability hole by hole that you've always wanted. Incidentally, the smoothest is this. with half the tea shut off, but the flavor sort of drops off some. But there you go. But let's take this out. So you get a little bit of a user manual. There's some pictures in there and some instructions and all that kind of jazz. And there's also a little envelope, and there's a little warning and a little letter from me. So you can read that when you buy the Drop Solo. I want to give a huge shout out to Hell Vape, Heathen, and Ambitions Vapor. When these little cards started to be put in the packaging, and they may have been done other places, but I never saw it before. What a great way to connect with the designer of a product and have, you know, some information in there about them and a link to their page so they can watch videos like this and learn about the product that they bought. Pretty cool. So thank you. You also get some extra coils that come this time. People complain with the original Drop there was no coils. So this time I give you coils but no cotton, and you get a little tool. These coil, the resistance is like 0.25 ohms, so definitely if you put these on your Drop Solo, do not use it on a mechanical mod because it's not going to be sufficient, all right? So just know that. In your kit, you're going to get some extra hex grub screws. You're also going to get some extra flathead grub screws. You're going to get your 510 drip tip adapter, which is included. You're also going to get your squonking pin included. And you'll notice that there's some clear O-rings, and there's some black ones that are thick, and then there's a clear one that's thick. And I had to make a decision. So here you have the stainless steel build deck for the Drop Solo. And I have a coil in there, and it's placed low from underneath the post. Because of the way the post design is, if you're, you know, an average medium skilled builder, you can easily put your coils in from upside down. This makes the wicking lower to the build deck, okay, for those that are really picky about that for squonking. And it also makes it so you can lower your airflow downward and have less airflow for those people that like a tighter, more, you know, restricted lung hit type of vape. There's lots of different vapors out there, and I wanted this to really appeal to everybody. But notice how I have these white O-rings on here. In the kit, when you open up your package, they're going to be black. The problem is that these clear O-rings are not as strong as the black ones. When you take your cap off day after day, these start to tear and break down because they're softer. I wanted this RDA to be sexy but also durable. So if you care about when you put this frosted cap on, it looks the best with the white because you can see the actual O-rings through the frosted. And I wanted it to look sexy if you want to take some pictures or if you want to be careful with them. But I also wanted you to know that if you want the most durability, the black ones are going to hold up the longest. They're the strongest, and I included them. That goes not only for the actual O-rings at the base, but also the little gasket one for your 810 drip tip that's in here. If that was black, that would stick out like a sore thumb. So we thought of both. We thought of for those sticklers that want something to be durable forever, and we also thought about those that want sexy, and we could do that. I also realized that on the stainless, the gold, and the black, because of this locking notch, which I think is, you know, awesome, and I love it. It makes it more visible. So if you're trying to match it up on something, you're going to see that no matter what, and that's why we include, for that and other reasons, we include the beauty ring. Once this goes on, there you go, it goes over it, and it just makes it look sexy. I think it looks really good. So you would put that on and then screw that on your mod. We also designed this drip tip. I'm a huge fan of this shape. Back when I guess I was in Detroit 2.5 years ago, Gatorboard, which was at the event at that time, was making custom drip tips, and I started to have him play around with different shapes, and this is one of the shapes that he made at that time. If you haven't checked out Gatorboard, he makes amazing drip tips, but I always loved the way this shape felt in my mouth, and I wanted to design something. So I sat down with Jason, and we sort of went back and forth and talked about all these different shapes, and we came up with this one. I think it fits, you know, perfectly for the Solo, and it looks really good. We also wanted to make sure that Solo was in this side and Drop was on this side for the cap. Like I said in the design portion, 810 drip tip is removable. and you can fit any A10 drip tip that you want on there. We also wanted to make sure that the size on the top here, even though we added the little, engraving here for grip, that's primarily what this is for, so you can get a good grip. But you can also use other wide, big A10 drip tips, and they're going to fit without overhang. So let me take this off. We also have complete airflow control. Now on this cap, there's 6 holes. Okay, see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I played with the width, the size, the diameter, everything. And you adjust the airflow. That would be wide open. Top row 1 by 1, just like the original drop, 1 by 1, and 1 by 1. So you can see that in there. You can also close it off completely so that juice doesn't leak out of it. You can also take a look at the black. And there's the black. And here is the gold. And you can see how I said before with the black is visible through there. So you can play around with the different colors to make it look the way you want it. So in the end, the thickness that we went with for the PMMA section is this. And that's so that I can push force, I can squeeze, and it's going to be tough enough to withstand that. The one area you need to be concerned of, and the only area that could potentially have a problem, and if you snap it, don't contact me and say it's a piece of shit, is this. The airflow control ring is thin. It's tough enough that I can put some pressure. I mean, I'm putting some serious pressure, but it's thinner than this. So just be careful of that, be aware of that, and realize it's strong, trust me, but it's not as strong as this. If you snap this, if you snap this, it's not going to be covered by your warranty, so just be aware of that. If you try to snap this, good freaking luck. This thing could probably take a bullet. It's so thick. All right, so flexibility. And this is where sort of playing around comes into play, because sometimes what you see with your eyes at first transforms when you try to look at it from different perspectives. And hopefully this will be eye-opening so you can look at the drop solo from different perspectives and really see it for what it's capable of achieving. I wanted to get this video out before the reviewers because reviewers don't know. A lot of them don't spend the time or have the time, they're busy, and they can't really see in detail about somebody else's project. Hopefully they can watch this before they film their videos to see what this is capable of. So this is going to be your standard build. Now this build is from the bottom. You could do this build from the top if you wanted to. You would just put the coils in from the top and bend it over. If you want to play around, depending on your airflow type that you like, you could do anything you want. You could do this. Standard build, lots of space from the bottom. And the reason is accessibility. All of that room makes trimming your legs easy, makes placing your coils easy, wicking it is easy, and you can just do so much. When I say so much, you want to put your coil in from the bottom and go super low, not a problem. Okay, so that's super low. Say you want to play around and you want to get your resistance lower. Check that out. You can do vertical, dual coils. I'm sure you can fit dual coils in other configurations too, but all I did was went from the top and from the bottom. It takes a little bit of skill, but nothing crazy, and you could do it like that. And the way the drop's posts are designed and the airflow with the 6 holes, look at that. You want to do vertical? You can do vertical. Right over the squonking pin. And you could do vertical and it's in the perfect position. So much more than just this, but those are just 4 builds to show the potential for this, small 22 millimeter RDA. This is why the RDA had to be taller. This is why the posts had to be the way they were. Trust me, I looked at everything, cutting the post lower, removing posts, changing entry points. It would have been easy to have the legs go out the side with a hole and then have the screw on the top, just like 50,000 other single coil RDAs, but then it wouldn't be the drop and I'd just be biting off of somebody else. And I'm sorry, I'm not that guy. I don't take the easy path, I take the path that's true, and I do what I do. So love it or hate the design, it's at least purposeful, and I did think everything through. I hope you guys understand that. But like I said, for the average person, for the average build, this is going to work really well for you. A little bit out, enough space between your coil and the post so that the air, what happens is if this is too close, air can't get underneath the coil and it creates turbulence. So this is going to work really well. You might notice that there's a pretty raised squonking pin in there. When I say raised, it's pretty high. And so I know some people out there, they want no raised pin at all. Some people, whatever. I had to make a judgment call. It's not a blind decision, though. And if you don't like this pin, you can sand yours down or clip it or whatever you want to do. But it serves a purpose. And let me just show you real simply. Because of the height of your coils, because of the wicking, when you squonk, you have 2 choices. You're either going to hold your bottle in until the wicks get saturated and then let go and it'll suck the remaining juice back down. Or if you want to just give it a quick squeeze, right, which I'm going to do right now. Ready? So watch what happens. These wicks are getting white. They're getting pretty dry. You'd be ready to squonk. So I'm going to squeeze, let it fill, let go. It's going to suck juice back down, but keep enough above where the bottle is. Now, recognize what happened. No juice down there at the bottom of the well, and the wicks are completely saturated from one squonk with no hold. That's why I did it, and I think it's worth it. Perfect height for the perfect single squonk to get everything wet without having anything remaining inside the bottom. Let's talk about leaking. Everybody cares about that too. This is not going to leak. If you hold juice in here like a pool, it will leak. But if you fill it up like a normal human being, you'll never have leaking problems. If you fill it up like a jackass and you make it so wet that it's going to spit in your mouth, it'll handle that. So everything's dry up here, as you can see. I'm going to fill it up above the top airflow hole, and I'm going to let it back down, and we'll watch what happens. Ready? Up and back down. And we have no juice coming out of the holes, and everything's good. For any normal squonking person, because of the 5mm juice well, because of the height of the chamber, you should have no problems with leaking. If you hold it in there and let it pool above the holes for any period of time, obviously it's going to come out, but because the holes are so small, it should not be an issue. And this should be a perfect squonking RDA. Let's zoom back out. Let me give you my final words. You guys have been patient. I hope this didn't bore the hell out of you, and I hope some of you found it interesting, and those who didn't probably already clicked out of this video anyway. Let's zoom back out. There you go, the up close of the drop solo. All I can say is I'm going to be happy when this day is over so that I can just release this product and let everybody make their own decisions. If you love it, if you hate it, if you never pick it up, it's done. I've done everything that I can, and it hasn't been easy. I thought since the drop was done, this would be a really easy transition to single coil, and I was wrong. I was so wrong. Maybe because I'm so anal about things and I'm so focused on the details and I just expect so much from myself that I set the bar to a level that makes me sick to my stomach with fear that it's not going to deliver. Looking back, obviously, there's not a limitless amount of time that you can have prototype after prototype. Companies just have a schedule, and if you wait too long, you lose the opportunity of using the drop name, obviously, because the original drop was so popular. There's that risk. So there's timing, the drop name is big, the drop's still selling. Well, people like single coils. Single coils are big right now. So why don't we come out with a single coil RDA and capitalize on this momentum? Well, I could spend 2 years developing something because I love fine tuning. I love sending it back, fixing it, testing things that have never been done. I enjoy that frustration because it's a challenge and that's what motivates me. But there is a limit, and companies don't want to sit around and wait forever. Deciding to build the deck this way, I think I found that balance between tons of adjustment, tons of airflow control, lots of build space for different build types, making the outside a little bit sexier than the drop. And you saw in the up close that it is a shrunken, smaller version. I know there's some high-end RDA and also loyalists to small, tiny little, flavor pop, single coil, low profile, sexy, put them on a little cute high-end, squonk mod. I get that. And the thing is that they've been done. Like, there's amazing ones that have reduced chambers and they are closed in, and one coil sits in there and everyone's just very similar, and some of them cost a few $100 and some of them are on waiting lists and some of them are really inexpensive. But I don't want to just follow suit. I don't want to just do the same as everybody else. And I also didn't want to adapt the deck to match what everybody else is doing. This was my attempt to use what I had to focus on making it the best that I can, and I hope it delivers. I really do. I'm done. The drop solo is done, and it's time for a little bit of thank yous. Bringing an RDA to market takes teamwork, and I could never have done all of this without the amazing support, assistance, and skill from a passionate team of individuals at Geek Vape and DIGIFLAVOR. Justin, Sandra, Jason, marketing department, sales department, everyone that's involved with the manufacturing, the shipping, the engineers, the graphic designers. And I definitely don't want to take all the credit for this. The design is mine, but there's so much input, so much feedback, and this is definitely a we, not an I. Thank you. I also couldn't do this without all of my friends. You guys hold me together on days that I'm falling apart. You guys see behind the scenes, and I just thank you for dealing with me, because I am not the easiest to deal with. Last but not least, I want to thank my beautiful wife, Amy. She is my rock in every possible way, and I could never have done this without her selflessness and her willingness to support me, push me, motivate me, believe in me. I just want to say thank you, Amy, and I love you. This drop solo is for you. So there you have it. You see what goes into it. You saw a little bit of behind the scenes with all the prototypes and my thought processes. You saw some builds. So if you're looking for a 22mm single coil RDA, if you're a fan and you love the drop, which the drop is amazing for single coil, also the original 24. If you like the PMMA sections and you like the idea of a single coil, run out and pick up a drop solo. And I appreciate you. So thank you very much. And I will say that I have so much more coming. The Drop Dead's coming out this week. I have a huge project coming up with Dovepo that I'm super excited about. So I am not resting. I am in the most creative and focused point of my entire life. And I'm passionate about bringing awesome products that you guys love and that everyone can vape and enjoy. This is just the beginning. I'll see you soon.